everyone. My name is Arnaud Varin. I'm a product manager at TIBCO Spotfire. And this is what's new in Spotfire 10.7. With Spotfire 10.7, we are continuing to make it easier for our users to analyze and get new insights from their data. Highlights in this release include native support for Python and important enhancements around pages management, maps, streaming data, and data access. To present the new thing in Spotfire 10.7, I'm going to start with advanced analytics, move over to visual analytics, then data access, and I'll finish with administration. So let's dive in with advanced analytics. As you know, advanced predictive analytics is a cornerstone for Spotfire. We offer the tightest integration between visual analytics and advanced analytics. And yeah, we think they are both great ways for getting insights from your data. Version 10.7 of the Analyst client introduces native support for Python data functions. This means you can now build data functions for exploratory data analysis, dashboards, or analytical applications using Python, with full support for mathematics, statistics, natural language, AI, and machine learning algorithms. Some of you might know, before this release, it was possible to use Python data functions by installing an extension, which was available from the TIBCO community. But this extension is no longer needed now, because Spotfire comes with a bundled Python engine. And as a user, you can now add and use Python packages as desired. To import a Python packages in a data function, you simply use pip, the standard package installer for Python. For example, here, this command is used to install the TensorFlow package. This is convenient. With Python data function in Spotfire, we provide the same level of integration as we have for our data functions, a capability that is available in Spotfire for many years. This is the same experience. You can use it to calculate new columns, data tables, values, and a Python function can run for all data, marked data, and or filtered data. This is the same very interactive experience, just as we have for R. So let me show you a quick demo. Okay, so here we have imported some data and we are looking at data that is largely unstructured data with text data that is customer reviews, comments written about the product. And we also have some location information here. And in this demo, we will try to make sense of this unstructured data using a Python data function. On this page here, we have some additional visualizations, and we have a number of topics that we can set, and another input here that I will explain later. And you see that we have some other columns here called topic keywords and estimated sentiment. And these are actually generated by a Python data function that uses topic identification and sentiment analysis of the text. So if we look at the data function properties, here, we have this Python here, and I will have a look at the parameter. So we have here a Python data function which takes a number of input parameters. It works the same way as if you have our data function. So here we have the input text parameter. We need to set just the text that we saw in the previous page. That's what we want to analyze. The number of topics that we ask the data function to identify in the text. And this is controlled by the document property here. And then it also takes an additional parameter, which is called lemmatize. Lemmatization is the technical term for when you try to reduce words to their core meaning. So the algorithm that we are using here may include lemmatization, which then takes similar words and group them together. And here we have this property value here to enable it or disable it. So you set it to true if you want to enable lemmatization, or you can experiment by setting it to false if you'd like to see if it has an impact on the topic identification. Now, this data function uses Python packages, NLTK or Natural Language Toolkit for sentiment analysis, and GenSim for topic identification. And when the function runs, outputs are added as additional columns to your existing data, with new columns, one named estimated sentiment, which is a numerical rating between -1 for bad sentiment to +1 for positive sentiment. The topic ID, which is just a numerical representation of the topic keyword. And then we have the topic keywords column, which is a set of topics identified with the best matching topics assigned to each entry. And the columns you see here are the ones you see on the cross table in the background here. So using the cross table, here we can see the identified topics and average sentiment for this. And you can see that the average sentiment is different from a topic to another. Like the top one, which is apparently about cooler, and the negative one, the lowest one here about installation service in Göteborg. Here we can change the number of topics dynamically. Initially, it was set to reduce the number of topics to 15. Let's put a larger number. And let's see if it's what is the effect on the topic detection. We can drill to different topics by selecting some of them. And if you take a look here, installation service, installation, Göteborg, installation. Here the finding is that it looks like there may be something about installation service and possibly in Göteborg. If installation is mentioned in the topic or installation service, or even to some extent Göteborg, then the average sentiment is actually much worse than for the other topics. And if we filter to all those topics which have something to do with installation, you can then see here in the bar chart the average estimated sentiment for the location Göteborg and Lindholm, and actually they are far lower than it is for the others. And you can see that on the spatial heat maps too. It actually shows that it's around Göteborg, right here, that the sentiment are worse about the product or the company. So that was a quick example of using a Python data function in Spotfire to try to make sense of unstructured data. So to summarize, in the demo, we started with unstructured text that customers have written about a product. Then we used a Python data function that reads the data and applies sentiment analysis and topic identification using the NLTK and GenSim Python packages. And the output of the data function was added as columns back to the original data. Then, by using the regular visual analytics, we were able to analyze the relationships between sentiment and topics or other parts of the data. And we saw that for those texts that concerned installation, many of them originated from the Göteborg region, where the sentiment was much worse than for other locations. About package management. So like I said earlier, it is convenient for individual users to be able to add Python packages, the one they like, simply by using the pip installer. But as a manager or administrator, you may be concerned about governing what packages are used in your organization, and you may want to harmonize and standardize the use of packages and or specific versions of packages. Well, we made it easy to ensure that all Python users use the same packages and the same versions. Using the regular package deployment mechanism in Spotfire server, administrators or super users can control and deploy Python packages and specific versions of packages that are automatically available to their users, and if needed, with group level granularity. So here, for more information, I advise you to check the documentation about Python data function in Spotfire. You have all the details about that. Let's move over to visual analytics. In Spotfire 10.7, there is now a property on Spotfire pages that lets authors specify whether a page should be visible in viewing mode or not. This means pages can now be hidden from consumer users. It is useful for example, if you have pages as work in progress that you want to hide, or if you have pages that you use for other purposes or not interested to consumer users. Hidden pages may still be part of a prepared PDF report, and they may be navigated to using action controls or script. We think it improves the flexibility for authors. For example, it's now possible to include additional pages in the PDF report, pages that are not visible to consumer users in the regular analysis. Or it is now possible to provide custom page navigation flow. On the API side, the Spotfire API allows you to programmatically inspect and change the visibility of the page in viewing mode from a custom extension or script. This means that pages can be shown or hidden from consumer users depending on the context in which the analysis is open. For example, based on who the logged in user is, or based on the client screen resolution. More governed page navigation. When building analytical applications in Spotfire, it's sometimes important to have your users follow a specific workflow. And in Spotfire 10.7, we are giving authors more control over the page navigation flow by allowing them to disable the page navigation options altogether, meaning that the only way to navigate an analysis if you turned off the navigation bar for a consumer is through action buttons, links, or scripts. So I will give you a very quick demo on those improvements over page navigation. So about navigation change, first thing you will notice is a new design of the navigation bar, and the globe icon, which shows the connection statue, is now moved to the statue bar at the bottom of the application. In this Spotfire analysis, I have multiple pages, and I can decide now whether or not I want to hide a page in viewing mode. So for example, if I select this page, I have some numbers, details that I want to hide. I just need to right click the page and say hide page. So the page is still visible to me, but when I publish my analysis or when I switch to viewing mode, the page is now hidden. And if I switch back to viewing mode, to editing mode, the page is here. right click, and then select hide page. You can also completely turn off the navigation bar. Here, this is useful if you want to force a specific workflow in your analysis. And in this case, if you still need to navigate through pages, then you will have to create action buttons or links or scripts to enable the navigation. And this is what's new for pages navigation. Just page analytics. As you know, Spotfire map chart can include multiple layers of data from different data sources, which includes GIS data, map services, and images as well. And in this release, we focused on making much easier to position background images over maps. And we think we came up with a much easier way to do this than before, simply by positioning the image layer from the map itself. This will be very useful, for example, if you want to layer an image of a floor plan or any other non-georeferenced image that you want to layer on a map in order to add more context to your data. Also new in this release, a significant enhancement to the auto zoom feature. Just as a reminder, auto zoom is a map chart feature that enables a map to automatically zoom based on data that you marked or filtered. And in Spotfire 10.7, you can finally zoom and pan your maps when this feature is enabled. This is one of the top enhancement requests we had for the map chart. And it is now also possible to set the transparency of image layer. And authors using the Spotfire web authoring tool, the Spotfire business author, they can now configure the coloring of lines and borders for feature layers that was not possible before. We'll give you a quick look of those map chart enhancements. So here we analyze properties sold or to be sold in the area of Melbourne, Australia, for over a year. And we have multiple layers of data showing so properties aggregated by suburb. We have transportation information, we have traffic information, the location for each property on the map. And I enabled auto zoom, which means that every time I mark data or I filter data, the map automatically zoom to focus on this suburb, for example. And I see only the properties for this area. With Spotfire 10.7, you can now zoom and pan the map when auto zoom is enabled. So let's say I filter to another suburb. I can now zoom, I can still zoom and pan the map. Those controls were disabled prior to 10.7. And we've also made the process of layering an image over a map much easier. So this is a very simple example. Here I have some coordinate location representing some places in the Bellagio Hotel, Las Vegas. And I want to show a floor plan image that I have to give a better context to this location. So I will just create an image layer and import my floor plan. Here, Spotfire asks me if this image should be used as the map background, but I say no because in this case I specifically want the image to be the image to be layered over the geographical map. And now I need to position my image. And to do this, I just right-click my image layer and say Edit Image Position. Prior to Spotfire 10.7, I had to enter every coordinate manually by hand here, which could take sometimes very long time sometimes. So now I can just do this from the map. Something like that. Here. When I'm done, I quit the edit image position mode. The position and the coordinates of the image are saved, and I'm finished positioning my image. And actually, there is one more thing about the image layer. You can now set the transparency of your images on your map in Spotfire. So that was what's new for the map chart in Spotfire 10.7. Now for streaming data, in Spotfire 10.7, you can now use the grid circle distance function to calculate geospatial distance between two locations on Earth. This makes it easier to, for example, calculate expected arrival time of a boat, for example, or provide visual alerts when a truck is approaching destination. And you can also concatenate strings with streaming data using the plus operator. Will be probably useful for labels. And you can also use the modulus operator with streaming data as well. Now let's move to data access. In Spotfire 10.7, we've updated the SAP BW connector toward the latest security libraries of SAP. With that, the connector now supports constrained Kerberos delegation on Spotfire web clients and in Spotfire analyst clients. The Spotfire connector for PostgreSQL now supports accessing data from Azure database for PostgreSQL. This means you can now establish SSL connection and push direct interactive queries from Spotfire into your PostgreSQL instance on Azure. And as always, with connectors, you have the option to combine push-down queries with extraction of row-level data upfront or on demand. And the connector for Salesforce has been updated as well to support selecting more columns in the same view. Last up, administration. With Spotfire Server 10.7, we now support the deployment on Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. And as part of the Spotfire Server 10.7 documentation, we have published a new document targeted to security professionals, which provide an easy overview of the Spotfire server environment and security capability. Well, that's just about wraps up what's new in Spotfire 10.7. If you want to learn more, you can check out this helpful page, the What's New page in TIBCO community, where you'll learn everything about what's new in Spotfire and many links to different articles, most of them related to how to use Python data functions in Spotfire. You should check the release notes as well. And I think a great start, especially for Python users, is to watch the latest Dr. Spotfire webinar from Neil Canungo, where he walks through the setup, execution, and governance of Python for your advanced analytics needs. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Arnaud. Some really exciting and significant enhancements and new features and in Spotfire. So thanks very much for showing it to all of us. We do have one question already, which says, "Any limitations? Are there any limitations for cloud users?" Do I understand that the Python data function only works in Spotfire Analyst? Maybe you could talk about that first briefly, and then talk about any other limitations for cloud.
So exactly, in this release, this is the Python data functions will work on the Analyst clients, on your Windows clients. So there is no, not yet Python data function support for the web,
Okay, and what about any other limitations for cloud users? I presume that all the other functionality is available on cloud, as far as you can go, at least as the authoring is concerned.
Yeah, Yeah, but still on cloud using the analyst client.
Okay,
Windows.
thank you. Any other questions, please? And just remember, before you can ask a question, you need to unmute yourself.
This is Dave. I just wondered, are there any enhancements to the NLQ capabilities of Spotfire, either in 10.6 or 10.7?
Not that I know in this release, actually.
Okay, thank you.
No.
Any further questions? Okay, well, it just remains for me to say thank you very much again, Arno, and thank you everybody for attending. For the internal audience, there is no knowledge share session next week due to the US JFK holiday. So we wish you a very good couple of weeks.